Here's another important interview question. What's the difference between a security group and a network ACL in AWS? At what level do they operate, and what are their key characteristics? The short answer is this. Security groups are virtual firewalls for individual EC2 instances. They are stateful, which means if you allow traffic in, the return traffic is automatically allowed back out. Network ACLs operate at the subnet level. They are stateless, which means you have to explicitly define both inbound and outbound rules. Security groups are your first line of defense for protecting instances. Network ACLs provide an extra layer of security across an entire subnet. Let's break this down in more detail. A security group is tied to an instance. Think of it as a lock on a specific door. You configure inbound rules to allow only what you need, such as HTTP, HTTPS, or SSH. Outbound traffic is allowed by default unless you restrict it. Because security groups are stateful, you don't need to write two rules for every connection. If inbound is allowed, the response is automatically permitted. Network ACLs, on the other hand, are like fences around a neighborhood. They apply to all resources in a subnet. Because they are stateless, you must write explicit rules for both directions. If you allow inbound HTTP traffic, you must also allow outbound HTTP responses. ACLs support both allow and deny rules, while security groups only support allow rules. ACLs also use rule numbers to decide evaluation order, which means the first matching rule applies. Now let's go through some real-world scenarios. In an e-commerce platform, the public-facing web servers might sit in a public subnet. Security groups would allow inbound HTTPS traffic to those servers, and nothing else. Meanwhile, the network ACL for the subnet might deny all traffic except web ports, providing subnet-wide protection against malicious traffic. In finance, a trading platform might run its application servers in private subnets. Security groups would be very tight, allowing traffic only from specific load balancer instances. On top of that, network ACLs could deny all inbound internet traffic at the subnet level, providing another barrier in case of misconfiguration. In healthcare, compliance is critical. You might design security groups to only allow access to sensitive databases from application servers, and not from anywhere else. Then you use network ACLs to enforce stricter subnet-level controls, such as denying traffic from untrusted IP ranges entirely. Now, let's talk about do's and don'ts. Do keep your security groups as simple as possible, with least privilege rules. Do use descriptive naming so that administrators understand what each rule is for. Don't rely only on security groups for subnet-wide protection, always combine them with ACLs for defense and depth. Do monitor your configurations using AWS Config or Security Hub to catch overly permissive rules. Don't allow wide-open rules like 0.0.0.0/0 for SSH unless you absolutely must, and even then restrict it with IAM roles and multi-factor authentication. Common mistakes include using only security groups and ignoring network ACLs, or creating overly broad ACL rules that override the benefits of fine-grained security groups. Another mistake is forgetting that ACLs are stateless. Engineers sometimes allow inbound but forget to add the outbound return path, which breaks applications. Now, what about alternatives and enhancements? If you need even more fine-grained control, you can use AWS Network Firewall or third-party firewall appliances available in the marketplace. You can also use AWS WAF at the application layer to protect web applications against SQL injection or cross-site scripting attacks. GuardDuty can help you detect malicious activity at the account level. In an interview, expect follow-up questions like these. Which comes first in packet evaluation, a security group or a network ACL? The correct answer is that traffic must pass through the network ACL first, then the security group. Another common question is, can you use deny rules in security groups? The answer is no. Security groups only allow rules. If you need explicit deny, use network ACLs. You may also be asked how to design layered security for a multi-tier architecture. The best way to answer is to explain that you would use security groups to protect each layer individually, web, app, and database, and use network ACLs to restrict entire subnets, such as blocking all external access to the database subnet. To recap, security groups protect individual instances and are stateful. Network ACLs protect subnets and are stateless. Together they provide layered defense. A strong interview answer not only explains the technical difference, but also shows you can apply them in industries like e-commerce, finance, and healthcare, and that you know the best practices and the common pitfalls to avoid.